Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to cover animal nutrition, which is topic 5. So I skipped topic 4 for now. It's because we just learned about enzymes the other day, and it's a good continuation to actually go to topic 5 straight away. Alright, so in this unit you will learn 1. About the human diet, 2. How to test for major components of the human diet, 3. The human alimentary canal and how it's involved in processing food. So at first, I think it will be very important for us to do a recap session. I'm going to split this lesson into 2. So the first session would be to recap what we have learned. And then after that, I think I want to do a little bit on prior knowledge session first. So here's a recap session. In year 7, you have learned about the 7 characteristics of living things, which is Mrs. Gren. So you learned about movement, reproduction, sensitivity, growth, respiration, excretion, nutrition, and cellular structure. So all these things are actually related to the human system. So if you remember your organ system, for example, the reproductive system, it's in charge of reproduction. And you have respiration. And the circulatory system actually helps that a little bit, or actually a lot, in terms of transporting oxygen to parts of your body. So once that oxygen actually arrives to your cell, that's when respiration will be carried out. Respiration, I just want to remind you guys, it's not breathing, but it's actually the breakdown of food molecules in the presence of oxygen to produce energy. For excretion, this is the process whereby you remove waste. So when you undergo respiration, what you make is actually energy, and you also release waste products like water and carbon dioxide. Some of the water might be useful to your body, so you might reabsorb that back. But for the carbon dioxide, you have no use for that. And the thing about carbon dioxide is that it actually forms carboxylic acid when it enters your blood, because your blood has water. So that carbon dioxide would actually be not good for your body, so you want to remove it out. So by breathing out, you actually excrete as well. Now, this is the characteristic of living thing that we're going to cover mostly about today, which is nutrition. The definition of nutrition is actually the process of providing or obtaining food necessary for your health and growth. So nutrition actually is about like having food, taking in food, so that kind of process. But we're going to learn about what kind of food do you usually take in and why actually as well. Right, so part 1 of this video will be covering a lot of prior knowledge. I think that this is important because it really helps to tie in the future information that you're going to actually learn. So this is the recommended prior knowledge from O-levels, Cambridge. Number 1, you need to know about the existence of chemical elements. Number 2, you need to know about the chemical energy. And what is it about chemical energy that's important? And the fact that chemical energy is actually contained or actually stored within larger organic molecule. So that word right there, organic, that's actually related to the word biochemical as well. The third recommended prior knowledge is knowledge of enzymes and enzyme action. And the fourth is simple understanding of the circulatory system. So this is the type of knowledge that you should kind of know very well before you get to tackle topic 5. So we know this part about chemical elements in year 7 and year 8. We haven't really dived into chemical energy within molecules yet, I think, but you might cover this already in chemistry. we know about enzymes because we have learned about it previously. And we do know a little bit about the circulatory system, especially in year 8. So let's dive into elements and compounds first. So elements and compound came in the topic 7, not topic 7, sorry, in year 7. So the topic to do with matter. So the definition of matter, molecule, atom, and particle. This is what this slide is about. So we're going to look from big to small here. So what is matter? So matter is anything that takes up space, and it's also made up of subatomic particles like atoms and molecules. Then if you're going to look into matter, matter is actually made up of molecules, atoms, and also particles. But what are molecules? A very famous example of a molecule that you're very familiar with is actually water. And as you can see, water is like a Mickey Mouse shape. And that shape is because in the middle right there, you can see that it has oxygen. And you also have two molecules? No, two particles, two atoms of hydrogen actually. So you have one atom of oxygen and it's connected to, it's bonded to, it's combined with two atoms of hydrogen. That's why you get H2O, so two hydrogen, one oxygen. So a molecule is actually when you have two or more atoms that are chemically bonded together or chemically joined together. So what is an atom? An atom is just one particle. So this atom is made up of a proton, a neutron, and an electron. And what's a particle? Particles can actually mean big or small, but it also can mean the smallest thing. So that's why I kind of put it as the smallest, because it can be the smallest. It can be smaller than an atom. But you can also call a molecule a particle as well. So particle actually refers to the tiny bits of matter. It can have different sizes, for example, protons. So if you guys look over here at this little picture of an atom, you can see that the blue color right there, that's a proton. The red color is a neutron. And then right surrounding it is your electron actually. So particles refer to all these little things. It can also refer to this one big unit of an atom. So now we've covered what's matter, molecule, atom, and particle. Let's look at molecules and how can we divide molecules to either elements or compounds. So a molecule can be elements when you have two or more of the same type of atom be chemically joined together, or it can also be a compound. So this is when you have two or more different types of atoms chemically joined together. A good example for an element, actually a compound, so we're going to look at compound first, is your water, so H2O. And then you have element, for example, the gas O2. So this is when you have two of the same atom, which is oxygen atom, joined together. H2O, if you look at it, it actually has two different types of atoms that are joined together. So an element of two elements of like hydrogen here combined to one of this different element called oxygen. So you call this one the mixed, combined, chemically combined together, called the compound. You shouldn't use the word mixing here, actually. I shouldn't have said that, because a mixture is different. A mixture is when you have two or more different types of atoms or the same types that are not chemically bonded together. Okay. So molecules are actually found in living things and also non-living things. But since we're learning about biology, we're going to learn about the chemicals and the molecules that are found in living things. So these are called biological molecules or biomolecule. It is a molecule that is present in living organisms. For example, you can find this in plants, human beings, and even in insects. So we're going to learn about what are the molecules that you can find in all living things. Now, what does that word have to do with nutrient? So let's look at the definition of nutrient first. Why are we talking about molecules, right? It is actually related. So nutrients are actually the chemical substances that can be found in the food that you eat. Just now we talked about nutrition. So nutrition is about obtaining food, taking in food. But here we're looking at nutrients, which is the chemical substances that is found in the food that we eat. So here is an example of a type of food that the doctors would recommend. An apple a day, they say, is really good for you. So in this apple itself, you can actually find a lot of types of chemical substances in here. Apples are known to have good vitamins, so it contains vitamin A and C, but it also contains minerals like iron and potassium. And not just that, but it contains calcium, carbohydrate, fiber, protein as well. So as you can see here, there's a lot of chemical substances, or you say nutrients, that are found in an apple, and that's why the doctor would recommend you to eat an apple a day. There are 7 nutrient groups that you should know. And how to remember this, I think I learned this either from Science 1 or Science 2, like 2 years ago. They told me Chigu Fatima plays violin for my wedding. So this thing is called a mnemonic, and that's not the exact answer that you should write down in the exam, but it's a way for you to kind of remember it. So the C there refers to carbohydrate, fat. F is for fat, and P is for protein. And we're going to ignore the T right here. So that's why I wrote it down in a small letter. Otherwise, it doesn't look like a sentence. So the V here from violin is to do with vitamins, F for fiber, M for minerals, and W for water. So these are the 7 nutrition groups. Or you can also say nutrient groups. It still makes like sense in English, so it's totally okay. Alright, so this is what a carbohydrate actually looks like. And this is what fats look like when it comes to their molecular structure. That's protein. Vitamins look like this. Fiber looks like that. And minerals like iron, we know that it's an element, and you can find this in your periodic table. And you know your little cute Mickey Mouse water. If you look at all of these pictures, I'm sure it looks unfamiliar to you right now, but they are actually something that you know of a little bit, because all of those pictures actually refer to how all of these nutrients, they are made up of tiny little particles. And that's why we talked about molecules in the first place. You can see that they're all joined up together as well. The proteins look a little bit weird, but proteins are actually also made out of small particles. It has a lot of molecules in here, but because of this like kind of spirally structure, it's only showing you how the shape of those molecules are. In protein, the molecules are actually kind of folded. That's why they kind of show you this kind of structure. Here's vitamins, and you can see little circles there too for fiber. And of course your little water right here. So molecules are formed by having like these things called bonds. So when you have bonds between each atom, and then they form a molecule, you call those things that join them up together as bonds, and there are different types of bonds actually. The first type of bond is called the covalent bond, second ionic, and the third one is hydrogen bond. There's actually more than that, but I'm only going to state these 3 because these 3 are the ones that are pretty important in biology. But just so you know, we're only going to focus on one type of bond, which is called the covalent bond. So to try to explain to you the covalent bond, I'm going to show you how protein molecules are formed first. So what do we mean by protein molecules? Protein molecules are biological molecules, so type of molecules that you can find in living things, and they're very specific. All protein molecules are made up of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sometimes sulfur as well. So each protein molecule is actually made up of tinier molecules called amino acids. So these are smaller molecules. So this is the structure, the molecular structure of one amino acid. You can see there's carbon right here, and then you can see the hydrogen right there, and then you have your oxygen, nitrogen, and the R group is actually called the radical, and this is what makes amino acids very special and proteins very special too. So each protein molecule, it can be made up of like thousands of amino acids and different kinds. So amino acids, they have all the same structure like this, but the difference is that there's radical group. So in this radical group, it can make amino acids very unique. So sulfur can actually enter here, and then you can create one type of amino acid there. There's about 20 plus amino acids, I think, that are essential for human beings. So when you have many amino acid molecules joined together by these bonds called covalent bonds, they first form this thing called a polypeptide chain. So imagine you have amino acids lining up, and then you join them together with a covalent bond. So just to remind you, one unit of this is referring to one amino acid. So it's pretty, what do you call this? Pretty different, not different, complex. That's the word I'm looking for. Sorry. It's complex, but we kind of show it as this one blue circle so that you want to simplify it. So this is one molecule of amino acid, and when you have them joined up together by covalent bonds, you form a polypeptide chain. So right there, in between each of these amino acid in a polypeptide chain is actually covalent bonds linking them all. But also, if you look at the amino acid, they do have those lines as well. So actually inside the amino acid, they also have covalent bonds. But instead of linking amino acids together, it is linking, for example, this one right here. You have a covalent bond linking nitrogen to hydrogen. So this is how you get amino acids, and it's also how you get a polypeptide chain. So once you have a polypeptide chain, that's not the end of the story. After a polypeptide chain is made, the protein is actually folded to form protein molecules. So you have your amino acids. They're all joined up together, so they have a lot of elements there joined up together by covalent bonding to form an amino acid molecule. And when you have a lot of amino acid molecule joined together by covalent bonds, you form polypeptide chains. And then finally, when those polypeptide chains are actually folded, so there are these two types of folding methods called alpha helices, or, and beta plated sheets. You kind of make like a 3D structure. And then finally, you can call it a protein. So this is why when we talked about enzymes the other day and how enzymes have the characteristic that they are sensitive to temperature, it's because all proteins have this 3D structure shape because they make these foldings. So this 3D structure is due to the bonds that hold them together. So for example, when you heat up the egg, why the egg actually turned into that white color from a transparent color is because the bonds are actually broken. And you call that the protein is denatured because the natural form of it, which is a folded bond and folded form, is actually gone. So the thing about these bonds that are very, very important is the fact that there is actually stored energy inside these bonds when they hold atoms together to form molecules. And this is actually called chemical energy. So inside there, you have so much energy, especially when you have bigger molecules. They actually contain a lot of bonds, so that means they contain much more higher chemical energy. Okay, so now I think this is one of the last prior knowledge that you need to know, which is called the circulatory system part. So the circulatory system is actually a network consisting of blood vessels, and the heart. So you have blood, which is a mixture of different types of cells, and you have your heart, which is an organ. So this is a tissue, an organ, and you have your blood vessels as well, which I would consider as an organ because it's a lot of different types of tissues that come together for a specific function. So you have all of this actually makes up the circulatory system. This network actually supplies to other tissues of the body with nutrients, oxygen, hormones, and also it helps to remove waste products. So now that we've covered your prior knowledge, I'm going to end this video so that we can start with your learning objective, which is found in your new subtopic 5.1 nutrients. So I'll see you in the next video.